Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Life in the Fast Lane. It is your CTO, Kyle Parks, and I am joined here with Nick Carlson.
I'm back, finally.
He's back. All around the world, you've been to Georgia, Atlanta, then you went out to the old Indianapolis.
Before that, I was in Cali, and then I was in Pennsylvania, and where else was I?
You've been all over.
Yikes.
And it's funny, we had a gap before last week that we I don't think we had a podcast for like a month that we had recorded.
I was
maybe a month and a
practice.
half.
I was very out of practice.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Still kind of weird, but hey, we're back.
Yep.
We're in action.
Ooh, easy. Don't break the chair, little guy.
I know the little man will break the chair before the big man does.
Well, we are back doing the podcast here, and Kyle has presented me. Look, listen.
I said, Nick, I'm tired of just taking guesses on what we're doing before we get started, so we'll have a quick debrief. We're going to start becoming a little bit more structured and scheduled, just like we had all planned.
And we had it for a while, and it just got hectic around here.
We did. I do have to make an update, though. So for my solo episode, I made it so that I don't eat any food before 7, and I would give everybody an update. So I have kept to that. So now I'm going to stick for it for a month.
What does this mean? I didn't hear about this.
So I did my solo podcast. I did I will versus I want mentality, and I told myself I will not eat a meal after 7 o'clock.
Oh, at night. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to become better. I'm trying to create statements and create my own willpower by stating I will statements versus I want statements.
That's
so
good.
that was part of my practice. And
I've done that. It would have become, like, for me, it was, it's not like a diet. For me, it was like, no, this is the new me.
Yeah.
This is how I live.
Yep. Just becoming structured. So it's been a little, I'm not going to say difficult, but it was just more or less I lost track of time here and there. And it's like, oh, I went to go grab it, and I looked down at my phone. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm doing this for Maylin.
And the problem with this, too, is, like, you have to think about it to not do it, which makes you think about it, which makes you want it more.
Exactly.
It drives you crazy.
Well, the other thing I've noticed, too, is, like, if I get into it, if I'm not sitting there cuddling with Maylin, because the past couple of nights I've just been taking Maylin and putting her to sleep in the beanbag, which I love doing that. But if I do that and then I'm able to get out from under her and just let her sleep in the beanbag by herself, because it kind of like caresses, or coddles her so that she doesn't want to roll much, which is nice. So I'll hop out and then I'll end up doing like some laundry or some stuff on the computer, which we're in the process, like I told you, trying to hopefully find a home. So it's going to get a little hectic here for me soon, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll just be what it is.
But it could be in the next 6 months. It could be in the next year. We're at least just putting the pre-approval stuff in to see what do we need to do to get ourselves to that next level. So,
I mean, you'll blink and it'll all be done, and they'll be into the next challenge.
Yep. I'm just excited because at that point, once it's our own home, I'm going to say, all right, put up a playpen, like something in the backyard. We're going to have a nice shed. We're going to start doing things around the home that make us feel homey.
There you go.
Versus, it's a place that we live. Yes, it is a roof over our head, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's just a matter of having that, I will versus I want.
There you go. It's a good thing to do.
So let's get into today's topic.
Let's do it.
So my first list of today.
Was that British?
No.
He had his fingers out and everything. British? I don't know. That's
when in doubt, pinky out.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So creating company culture designed to win. So I like this one because it's something that's kind of come up, and it's kind of how you've built Dawson. And I've noticed, sometimes every once in a while, everybody's going to butt heads. But as long as you can create that mission statement and get everybody on that mission statement and show them, hey, this is where this tanker ship's going. We're starting as like a little Zodiac, and it's going to be a little rough here and there, but we just need to start building and acquiring logs around us and just build this thing up as fast as possible. Yeah. And as strong as possible. Yeah. Because you need to be able to withstand that iceberg, unlike the Titanic.
Yeah, let's avoid the iceberg, huh?
Yeah.
So what I would say is, I have this trick that I've always done, is I always start at the finish line and I work backwards.
Yeah.
So when you read that to me, the first thing that went through my head was, okay, well, what's the win? Right? So first off, everybody has a different version of what winning looks like. Now, I think a lot of people also lie to themselves and say, oh, winning is me just doing nothing all day. That's not winning. That's existing.
It's funny. There's a couple of things going on within Chloe's family that could potentially give I'm not going to say her and I that ability, but I look at it and go, I couldn't sit at home all day not doing. I want to go and work because I don't feel accomplished without knowing that I did something during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I want to come in here early. I enjoy coming in here an hour earlier before everybody.
It's quiet.
What's that? And it's like, okay, well, I can organize my thoughts. I can get what I need to get done on my own list. Because, like, I've been trying to work with an organizer recently, is just saying, here's my list. Here are the things I know I need to do today. So if I have to do gloss black powder, I have that on the list for XYZ parts. And then I try to keep putting it into a list so that I can go, okay, I can check that off. I can check that out. Because even though it's just a little check mark, it's a big win for me.
It's a win.
So, all right, back to you.
Well, no, it's fine. That's all that's relevant. So here, what I like to do is I always like to reference back to where I failed and then what I learned from it and then what, he just had a thought.
Well, it reminded me because Patrick Bet-David always talks about, he goes, you always have to look inward before you can move forward.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
And that was a big part of me last year, and it helped a lot.
Yeah, I just simply call it looking in the mirror and having a real conversation with yourself. So here's the
I look in the mirror and say, oh, you're a bitch.
I look at the mirror, and some days I'm like, you're awesome. Some days I look in the mirror, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it's crazy. I'd probably say I'm more successful now than I've ever been in my life, and I don't feel that way. It's very strange. I felt when I had far less money when I was in my early teens. When I was 18 years old, I had like $35,000 saved up in the bank. Like, yeah. That was to me, that was a lot of money then. I'm sure there are people that had less. I'm sure there's people that have had more at that age. But I thought I was a baller. Like let's go, right? And now, if I was in that position now, I'd be flipping out. So we're all on different like stepping stones, different levels, right? So, looking back at culture in my last business versus this business, here's what happened. I started the business, like anybody else on my own. And then when I started injecting, other people into the business, my expectation of them was the same that I had for myself, which then put too much pressure on them. I probably reacted wrong to a lot of it. And they're never going to work like you. They're just not. They're not the business owner. So when I learned to have realistic expectations of them, things got a little easier. But
now, did this come from experience or did this come from reading the E-Myth?
No, this is way before E-Myth.
Okay.
Way. What had happened was I was estimating jobs when I was a landscaper, and I was losing money on every job. And I'm like, why? And I figured out one day after a few months, I was like, oh, the guys aren't working at the rate I would work at.
Yeah.
And so I had to start estimating the jobs and bidding the jobs based upon what their performance was, not mine. But then where I fell short on that was, okay, so this is a big one. I would always hire people that were inexpensive, not people that were professionals that cost more.
Yeah. So
when you hire somebody that's less expensive, you think, oh, good, I got this person at $15 an hour. Back then it was like $9. But they say it's $15 an hour today, and you're like, great, I got hands, I got help, I got this, I got that. The problem is those hands and that help doesn't know what to do because they have no experience, right? And so if you would have spent the money on the $20 or $25 or $30 person, when you bid the job, you would then be able to bid the job and actually make money because that person knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
So it's expensive to take a $15 an hour employee that doesn't know what they're doing, that may have great intentions, and I'm not saying anything wrong with them. They're just not there yet. It's expensive to train them, to get them up to the standard that you need to then make money. So you have to be very mindful of that. So when it came to the culture side of things, I had originally let the culture at my last company at one point in time basically create itself.
Yeah.
Which is a big no-no. Basically, you're letting the lowest common denominator in your company create the environment that everyone's going to live in, because a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, right? So
that's the saying.
And that's the saying. And what a lot of people don't take 2 seconds and think about is, okay, I didn't set an expectation here because I didn't want to scare off people, because I needed the first person I could get because I need to get the job done as fast as possible. And so there's this triangle, this invisible triangle in the world, and it's quality of work, speed, and cost, right? And so if you can't have all three, you just can't.
Yeah, you have to pick two.
You have to pick two. So if you want a fast job, it's going to be probably either really expensive or lower quality, one or the other. If you want it really fast, it's going to be probably expensive, and the quality may not be great. If you want good quality, it's going to be very expensive, right? Yeah. So when it comes to culture, when I sold the landscape company and started Dawson Manufacturing, I said, okay, here's my chance to fully reset and hit that reset button and start building what I thought was the right culture. And here's where I started. I started with myself. And I said, okay, how am I going to act around these people? And what I said was I was going to be respectfully blunt. And I think I've held true to that. Yeah. I really try hard not to lose my temper directly at somebody. Like, I've definitely gotten upset because I'm going to say it's our business, because without these other, I'm going to say just humans in this building, I'm not pointing at anybody, it doesn't work. Like, I could not do everything in this building that we all do. I'm only one guy.
Yeah.
None of us could. No one could.
Especially the output that comes out of this building.
It's insane. I mean, you're talking 8-figure business with 8 people.
Yeah. If
you hit the $1 million per employee mark, come talk to me.
Doing something right.
You're doing something right. So, it's hard to hit the $1 million per employee mark, and we're doing it. Matter of fact, I just met with a landscape company yesterday. It's huge. It's huge. And I guarantee you they're not doing – I bet you they have 50, 60, 70 employees. But I guarantee you they're not doing $50, $60, $70 million. Now, he has a great business, don't get me wrong. But when you do hit that – like right now we're probably at like a 1.3 per person. That's enormous. And so when it came to culture, that's exactly what I was shooting for, because I had talked to a major manufacturer here in the United States a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, and he goes, if you can hit $1 million per employee, that's on fire. And yeah. We're beyond that. So that's really, really cool.
And we could probably do a lot more.
We could. I mean, honestly, it's all because of sales.
Yeah.
If the sales could go up, which they will, it's organically happening.
If they would
now.
If they wouldn't go, if we wouldn't have such a dip during the summer, we could kill it.
Oh, yeah, we could. I think with the crew that we have, if we could get landscapers to understand that MulchMate is more than just mulch, and it can do rock, sand, dirt. It could help with water drainage, paver work, paver meaning like paver patios. It'll move CR6, concrete, sand, dirt, gravel, compost. Like the top
even that, we still have TruckMate. TruckMate's fantastic for a lot of that too. Like especially for like CR6 and stuff like that, getting it out of the back of the truck versus just taking a dump trailer. Because if you can limit a guy taking a truck and a trailer, dude, it's so much easier because everybody knows how to drive a vehicle versus having to know to drive a trailer.
Right. I didn't get so Kyle just handed me his phone. I never got a chance to read it, and I can't open your phone.
You're good. But it's a comment from Lyle. He had just sent something.
Okay, can I read this out loud?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I haven't read this, guy. So it says, this is our boy Lyle. He's actually getting ready.
Senior-ish.
Is this senior?
Yeah.
Oh, it is senior. His son is getting ready to take delivery of his very first MulchMate DMT combo, which is going to be badass. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be here local.
We should do a video on it.
We should.
When he gets here.
Best part of the day today, catching up on all the podcasts. Most difficult part of the day, realizing you have caught up on all of them. You and Nick are still doing an awesome job. Thoroughly enjoying them. Jabba dabba doo, bitch. I love it.
I told you it went somewhere.
He's awesome. I like Lyle. He's awesome. Lyle and Lyle. I don't know the other 6 Lyles that came before them, but I'm sure they were great too. But getting back to the culture and all that, it is extremely important to build a vision and then learn how to translate it and implant it into your people's minds so they can fully understand where we are all going. Because, like, I'll give you a good example. Our vendors that make MulchMate parts for us, they are enamored when we show up with the actual MulchMate, because all they see is like a blueprint. It's called a drawing, but in this industry, they're going to understand the word blueprint. So the blueprint shows like a panel with like 4 bends and a bunch of holes and maybe like PEM studs sticking out. PEM studs are like press in.
Are they pressing or are they?
PEMs, yeah, they're all press.
I didn't know if they were like the that like ultrasonic welding.
No, there's no welding. It just presses. It's like a stud on a car when you put a wheel lug on.
Yeah,
that's all just pressed in typically. So anyway, this one person at this one vendor we have makes this one part for us all the time, and I've gone to these shops and they're like, "So you invented the MulchMate?" And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What is this part that I make for you all the time?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's the blah 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 part." They're lost.
Yeah.
So what I do is when it comes to culture, not only what I really, here's what I do. I really am just selling me and my vision to all of you. And then I go to all of my vendors and I sell the vision, not to just the person I work with at that vendor, but like all the people.
Yeah.
And I try to go in and be like, "Hey guys, how you doing? What's going on?" Like when I go to Belmont, that's an Amish company. There's 95% of it's Amish. The only guys that are what they call English, right, are up in the office.
Yeah.
Right. So like I love going back in the back and talking to all the guys that are building the trailers, and they're enamored with me when we talk because I've built. Not only did I create a vision and sold it to Jake, the owner of Belmont, and then I didn't overpromise. When he first said, how many of these trailers do you think you can sell the first year? I was like, I don't know, like 6. That was literally the number I told him. And it ended up being like 100, whatever it was. I can't remember the exact number. But I under-promised. I over-delivered. I was kind to them. I asked them I have literally asked Amish people, why are you Amish? You know what their answer was? Did I ever tell you this?
Simplicity of life.
It is. They just, all of them just say, we just like to keep it simple and you know, we don't deal with the nonsense of your world. And I'm like, I could totally respect that.
There's a validity to that
There
too.
There is. A lot of noise in all this. So
especially nowadays.
Yeah, nowadays it's silly. I mean, it's just, they're creating noise just to make noise to distract you from the things you should be focused on. So anyway, when it came to culture, it's like, it's I take an absolute I guess you call it this. It's a kind, no bullshit approach, is what I try to do. I try to be straight with you. Then I try to understand you. I try to repeat back to you what you're thinking, whether you're a vendor, a customer, or one of my people. I'm always trying to interact and get, for lack of better terms, like nested together or in bed with you. Like try to understand you, and then you go, wow, he actually understands me. Like I just got this text message this morning. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but this meant a lot to me. So I'll give you a little context. So this person and I had done business. Well, actually, we didn't even do business together. They went through one of our dealers, and they had some issues. They voiced it online. I basically came back online and said, hey, you had my number. Why didn't you call me? Blah, blah. So while I was out where I was, I said, hey, I'll stop in for free. 3 years later, mind you, and I didn't sell it directly to this person. The dealer did. So the dealer should have been doing what I did. The dealer didn't. The dealer didn't provide the customer support that they should have. The dealer never called me and said, hey, what do I do here? So epic fail on their part because their culture isn't correct. It's just not. Now, I have other dealers that do a great job, and they're like, dude, what do I do? You do X, Y, Z. All right, thanks, man. And they go handle the customer. Customer's happy.
Yeah.
That's how that should go. So this person and I literally show up and I asked him, I walk, so truth be told, I walk into this situation and I'm like, and this goes back to culture. This all has to do with this whole podcast and how I handle things. And this text will prove it to you here in a second. But I walked in and I literally said to this person, I said, is this DOA or this dead on arrival? Or are you guys actually considering having a decent conversation with me and hearing me out? And they said, no, we would like to hear you out. And I'm like, that's a good step in the right direction. Like, I've never had anybody walk up to me and go, is this conversation DOA? I've never had anybody ever say that to me, ever. And that either comes from either because they're too scared or I'm just easily approachable.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. So when I show up, I got 3, I'm going to call them badass dudes. These guys are absolute professionals at what they do. Clearly, their business is gargantuan. And it's all organically grown from what I understand. I don't know tons and tons and tons about it, but from my perspective, and my perspective is pretty well educated because I've seen literally every style landscape company you've ever wanted to see, all of them. I mean, $50,000 a year to $4.5 billion and everything in between. So we basically, how I do it is I go in there and say, guys, I come in peace. I really want to make sure you understand that I don't have to be here.
You're not coming in as a hothead. You're coming in as an educator.
Right. But here's what I'll say. When I walked in, I knew I was going to have a fight on my hands.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. So I go in and I probe a little bit and I go, hey, is this going to be a rough talk? Literally ask them, is this going to be rough? And they're like, no. Okay, cool. So we go over and we start looking at one of their trucks, and I said, tell me your problems. So that's a culture thing. That's how I handle things. I go in and I say, what sucks? What pain points are you feeling?
You let them speak first before you go creating the solutions. You find the problems, you let them speak, and then you then assess it.
Well, so if I don't do that, which most people don't do that from my perspective, how am I supposed to actually be able to judge a situation? I have no data.
You don't, but then you also you come off to them as cocky and arrogant of like, oh, my product's perfect, versus going, hey, if you're having a flaw, how can we fix it?
Yeah, it's just there's variables in this life. There's just tolerances and variables to everything. So these three dudes, they start hammering away, and they start telling me all these, for lack of a better term, they're bitching about their experience. And you know what my response to them was? Those are all true.
Yep.
You're correct. If you're experiencing that, yes. Well, I didn't agree to agree. I agreed because
you agreed that their
right.
problems are their problems.
The problem. Well, I'm not gonna say yes. It is theirs, but it's not. It's a curable problem, and the thing is, here's what they messed up on.
Yeah.
Is when you have a problem, you need to reach out to the person or whoever you think could help you resolve it, and say, "Hey, what do we do here?" And they didn't do that. That's where they fell short. And so when we went back there, I ended up trudging through the mud and going back and looking at the actual vehicle they installed their MulchMates on, and they had torched stuff off and cut this off and cut that off. And their main guy, the mechanic guy, older gentleman, clearly has years of experience, knows what he's doing. But in this scenario, he didn't know enough.
Yeah,
he just didn't. And it's not necessarily his fault. What is his fault is he shouldn't have just pulled a torch out. He should have pulled a cell phone out and called me. That's where they went wrong. And so, so here's what happened. This is where the respect starts to build. I've already kind of I've been able to, at this point, I've been able to drop their walls. So again, going back to culture and how I handle things and how I try to train all my people is get the walls down first.
Yeah, don't go in hot and heavy.
Right. So that's what I did. Right. Came in with my tail between my legs. I'm here to help. Let's not make this any harder than it needs to be. So I go back there and I said, tell me what you did. And so he shows me, and he cut all the stuff off, and look, in my opinion, it was a fuckery. It literally was a fuckery of execution on installing a MulchMate. Can I help you? Go ahead. No, Craig's here and he's showing me some invoices. What do we got here? This is going to Connecticut. Okay. And damn, that's nice. 3 MulchMates.
Just now?
Nice. And
nice.
that's so 3 MulchMates are going out and a DMT going out. 150,000 going to Connecticut. That's
the smile on your face says it all.
That's badass, dude. I mean, that's just what we're doing. That's why we're doing all this.
Aluminum rims. That's a really nice rig.
That's a nice rig. Yeah, whoever's getting that's badass. So anyway, see right there, that's culture, right? So Craig just walked in, showed us some invoices on, what kind of MulchMates. Notice I went straight to the state where it's going. That's where I get my jollies now. I love knowing where things are going.
That's where I get my tingles from.
I do. I didn't even go to the money first. I went to where it goes first. So, but going back to culture, Craig's coming in here and spreading some positivity and joy, and he's happy. And you heard Kyle giggle there. I'm like, heck yeah, that's awesome. Again, that's culture. But anyway, so real quick, I basically go toe-to-toe with this mechanic guy, and he tells me that I'm wrong, and there's no way it can work, and blah, blah, blah. And I literally looked at him and said, sir, how many MulchMates have you installed? And the real answer to this was none, because the dealer had tried to install it and something happened. I don't know who finished it or how it got to the position it's in, but both parties had some kind of input into this install, and it was just it was a shit show.
Yeah. And
my phone never rang, not once.
So
right?
What was the actual problem?
So they had a rugby body, and a rugby body has these horizontal bend lines in it. They're kind of wavy, and they have a very nice large post, but these really freaky, weird looking back hinge mount things. It's so strange. But
I had a rugby on the dump truck.
It wasn't that kind of rugby.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying it was
that brand.
I know the brand.
Yeah, and I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, for what it's normally used for, I guess it's fine. Oh, so In the MulchMate scenario, literally all we do is we take an 1.5 by 3 inch piece of rectangle eighth wall tube, and we run it vertically straight down, and we use the holes where the rear gates bolt to. We just run bolts through those, and then that becomes a flush mounting surface for our truck side MulchMate hinge mount, and you just plop it in, drill some holes, and you're good to go. It's not that hard. And this mechanic guy just really pushed back really hard, and I finally just turned around from the truck and went straight, like I squared up to him, chest to chest, not like a foot from him, but like 7 feet from him.
Yeah.
Right. And I said his name. I'm not going to use his name because just kind of keep it private here. But I said, sir, how many MulchMates have you installed? And the reality of that is let's call it 2. That's the most he's ever encountered. Dude, I've installed hundreds, and I've installed on this specific body before. I know exactly what works. I know exactly what we did. And at this point in time, I know, but like my dimensions of this pipe, 1.5 by 3 inch, is I'm not 100% on that. I'm like, I really feel like that's what we used because it's been like a year or two since this body's come through the shop.
Yeah.
Which is not our fault. It's just kind of how the chips fall. So he pushed back again, and I said, sir, listen, I'm not to be blunt here, but in this realm, in landscaping, you may know what you're doing. In this realm, you do not. And you have proved it to me by this, and this. If you want my help and you want those MulchMates not to be paperweights, we need to get this done. Are you willing to listen to me? Because I know more in this realm than you do.
Yeah, because it's not just one body that we have installed on. It's hundreds, and they're all different.
They're all different.
I could tell just by yesterday with Gavin on the truck he's working on now.
Yeah.
Everything's different.
Everything's different. So, sorry, take a drink. So here's what's cool. I literally watched this gentleman put his pride away. I watched his shoulders drop. I watched him go from a very stern stance to like you like lean on one leg stance, and that's like a chill stance. I read his body. I watched it looked like a waterfall, and he stopped. And I'm like, okay, now I know we're getting somewhere. I said, can we please go over to this other truck that's not all chopped up, and let's talk about like a reset button here.
Yeah.
He goes, let's do it. So we march through the mud, get back to a cleaner surface, and we start looking at this truck. And he goes like this. He goes, so tell me again what you did. And I'm like, got him. There it is. That's what I needed. I said, please get me a tape measure, and I'll show you. So we start throwing tape measure around. I said, boom. Remember I told you I was a little unsure about the measurements?
Yeah.
I put the tape measure up there, and I'm fucking in my head, I'm going, oh, my God, I hope I'm not wrong on this. I'm pretty sure I know this one. And I stick it up there, and it's 1.5 inches. I was right. I was pretty sure, but like I wasn't 100. I was like 90. And I said, remember I told you 1.5 inches? Look, 1.5 inches. And from that moment on, it was on.
Yeah.
This is game, right?
You're like, it's fight time without there being a fight.
There's no fight now. Now we're in repair mode. Now we're going to get somewhere. And I could see all three of these guys, their attitudes just like totally changed, their way they spoke. Then it went from statements to questions, and we were off to the races. Now we're back to winning again, right? And this goes back to culture. This goes back to how you speak, how you walk, how you talk, how you read people, how sometimes you need to leave people alone. Sometimes you need to let them digest. Man, you will get treated the way you treat other people.
Yes.
Right? And so I'm going to give you this. So the whole thing went great. We had an amazing end to it all. We shook hands like 3 different times before I left, and I told everybody, hey, this is on you guys. You gave me the opportunity, and you gave me the room to have a voice in all this, and I really appreciate that. I'll do an email follow-up with you tomorrow, which is going to be today, and we're going to get this done. And I gave everybody my contact info. So last night, I went to bed early. This text message came through at 10 o'clock last night. I went to bed at like 9-something because I was exhausted. This is the text message I get from this gentleman that I really thought I was going to have a major problem. Now, here's the thing. He's just a badass. That's what he is. And it's a dying breed. And in this message, you'll hear it. So what he says. He goes, I have a lot of respect for what you did today, sir. You run your business like I do. That's a dying breed. And that gives me chills because I appreciate that, because I do. I really work hard at being a man, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to, let this sissified world tell me that it's bad to be a man. Sometimes you have to have the hard conversations, and that goes back to the culture of I'm going to have the hard conversation, and I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm going to, focus on me, and I'm going to focus on the task at hand and winning that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like being able to speak up and speak about what's going on. What are you?
I'm stretching my calves.
Oh, I was
They're
like,
tight from the plane.
No, but having the hard conversations is what helps us get to a new level. Because if you don't have the conversations and you just let things fester, you end up not actually accomplishing anything.
What you end up accomplishing is you end up accomplishing harbored feelings, and then there's no room, honestly, for feelings in this world. There's not. I mean, like, feelings are meant for the bedroom, honestly, and your kids. And even then, at some point you need to – logic has to step in, and you have to understand that you have to lead your kids. You have to lead your family. There's this clip on social media from Ed Milet. Talks about being the one. And this one he talks about, again, this goes back to culture. Culture that's thought out and that you're actually executing on will create this one, this one that Ed Milet talks about, I talk about. And I want to preface this by saying that, my father has given me a great opportunity in life from the day I was born. He did everything he could. He sacrificed a lot for me. And in the family, I think he started to be the one. And when I say the one is in a family tree, a lot of times things it's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And my family is, there's a lot of alcohol, there's a lot of cigarettes, there's a lot of employment, there's a lot of they're just normal, right? And normal is okay for some people. For me, it's not. I mean, I want more out of life. I think that there's a lot to be had in this life, and it's a beautiful thing. And it could be so much better with just basic, simple decision making. But too many people get caught up in what the perception of them is, and not what they truly believe in, right? That culture.
Yeah.
So I believe that my father, Craig, he started off as the one, meaning I'm the one that's going to change everything in this family dynamic. My whole family, the Carlson family, was looked down upon for generations. We were the peasants, the weak ones, the losers, the living on government assistance, poor, homeless, government cheese, churches giving food to us. Like, that happened to me. Not just the other part of my family. Like, that happened directly to me. Have I dumpster dove? Yes, I have. Have I gone around on trash days and collected every single can out of every single recycling bin I possibly could to get $40 to make money so I can survive? I've done that. Like, that's why I don't drink beer, because that's what it smelled like in those recycling bins.
Yeah.
That's why I don't drink beer.
That's everybody's crutch.
Right. And I don't do that. So my point to all that is that my father started it, but I'm taking it to a level that I am pretty sure even my kids are going to have a hard time beating, because of the culture I created within myself first, by myself, and then I lived by that, and then once I lived by it, then I could start infecting everybody else.
Exactly.
And it just becomes who I am, right? So going through this experience yesterday with this company out I'm going to say just out west, really, really solidified. I woke up that morning and I was talking to Julia, and I was really, really worried about the shitstorm I was about to walk into. But as a man, I stepped up and I walked straight into that motherfucker, and I said, I rule this. I am the expert in this, and no one's going to tell me otherwise. And they can try to like one-up me in this, and they're not. So I went head-to-head with the biggest company in the world. I went head-to-head with smaller companies over the weekend. It was great. I got them all straightened out, and I literally left every single one of them, and they're like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm like, no problem. Just remember, if you need something, here's my info. Call me if you need me on anything.
Exactly.
So I guess what I'm getting to here, guys, is if there's conflict or a problem that's looming out there in the distance like a storm, run straight after that bitch. Go right after it. Do not be afraid of it. And in those bad times, a hero is born. And my relationship with this gentleman that just texted me that last night, I guarantee you that's probably going to end up being a lifelong relationship. And I bet you that the amount of money I'll make from all that I didn't do what I did for money. I did what I did because it was right.
Yeah.
And he said when I was there, he goes, "Do you understand what you just did? How much money that's probably going to make you?" And this is one cat.
Yeah.
This is one cat, I don't know, halfway across the country. So when it comes to culture, guys, you have to follow, I believe, those rules, and you will be, what is it? Is it uber successful? Ultra successful?
Both work.
Both work. I like it. So, have anything to add to that, Mr. Kyle? You have an experience that you felt really could serve someone?
No, but I do know the biggest thing and kind of the reason why I chose to say yes to the offer that you gave last year was just the culture that I had noticed after experiencing the few times when I didn't have work and I came in and just kind of hung out and helped out here with you guys, and then also going out to Equip, what was then GIE. It doesn't roll off the tongue just as well either. Just saying Equip and GIE sounds so much more like I'm going to come in to punch everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, noticing the culture and the way that the guys acted and worked together, I enjoyed that. And then also because I was here, I think we did the first Equip, I think was Justin's first year. So kind of learning how he kind of came in and adjusted with the team. And I don't know if George was there or not. I think he was there the first year. And then the second year, Gavin came in. And then last year, I was a part of the team. So we had all started to learn to coalesce with one another, and yeah, we all have our differences here and there, but beyond that, we all, you've kind of created it so that it is a family per se, not to be like Fast and Furious, but it does act like so because we come in and we hang out and we can shoot shots at each other and it just ricochets off and then we shoot shots back and it's a fun culture, and we know what the end goal is to make the best product together.
And help people.
Yeah. So even if you hear something drop around the shop, we all check in and like, hey, are you good? That sounded like a big pole. Are you okay?
I come running all the time.
Yeah.
Because they throw shit down and I'm like, what the hell was that? And I go running through the shop like, are they okay?
Well, that the metal rack is behind the booth. So I always peer my head around. It's like, hey, you good? Or like, hey, do you need a hand carrying that? Or I always run into George trying to move something. I'm like, hey, let me grab that.
George is 70 for you people that don't know. He's my father's cousin.
George is a crazy ass motherfucker sometimes. That dude, I swear to God, I'm not going to say what he does around the shop just for
I know. It's
reasons,
it's
but still, it's like, dude.
Yeah, he pushes the limits on certain things. I'm like, dude, don't do that. You know what else I think really resonates with people, to kind of wrap up the podcast with our people, at least inside internally, is we had a fire marshal come through here, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, and I got to go through and make sure that her list is good to go because her and I are supposed to connect here soon. When she walked out, when I knew this person was coming, everybody's like, oh no, and my approach was, bring it. What do we got to do to fix whatever? What you're doing your job, let's get it done.
Yeah.
And what that did was it lowered her guard. And I walked her through the whole place. I was trying to be Prince Charming with her because I want her on my side, right?
Yeah.
And so I turned the charm up a little bit, and then when we got done, she looked at me and she goes, "You actually care about this place?" And I said, "I do." She goes, "It is so blatantly obvious that you care. I really am impressed." She goes, "In all my 30 years of doing this," she goes, "this is one of the best run facilities I've seen." Dumb little things that I've never even seen her saying this. You're doing like we put little fire suppression cans above the lithium batteries, where we store them because they do burn. They've shorted themselves out before, not in our facility, thank God, knock on wood. But I've seen it online, and so.
Oh, we also have them in. So we have a can. So when I wipe off all the parts, I throw the rags away. But the acetone hasn't happened here.
Yeah, knock on wood. Knock on wood.
But they can self-ignite.
They can.
From their evaporation and whatever the hell the
it creates heat.
There. Yeah, so
heat and cloth.
Oof.
Yeah, so in the lid of the this can you're talking about, there's a fire suppression puck, if you will.
Yeah.
And I showed her all that and she's like, "Holy crap, I've I've never seen any of this kind of stuff before. All the parts and pieces that we put up on the shelf, we wrap it, band it, put it away because I've been through earthquakes.
Well, that and Sam also, one of Sam rules is also to have a clear path to the back door.
Always.
Where the ramp is. And granted, sometimes, it does get a little blocked when you're trying to, clean up a couple of things.
There are moments, but it's not long.
Yeah, it's not during the whole entire day. But that's, if we got to get in and out with the forklift because there's something going on, we can do it quickly.
And that just goes back to setting a standard, right? That culture. And what I try to tell everybody is don't be the weakest link.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cover your ass all the time. Do what you got to do. So if anybody comes back to you, you can go, did my job. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And when everybody takes that approach, there's literally nothing that gets left, undone. Now, are we human? Are there still things around? Of course they are. We're an operating business, or we're humans. We have at home. Do I have every little thing perfect? No. I have 2 kids. Jesus.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect in that world. But it just goes back to that culture and setting the standard for yourself, and it has to become part of the thread that makes you.
Yeah, and the other thing too is yesterday I had 2 little wins yesterday, and one kind of permits to the culture, the other one permits to myself. The one was I had to grab one of the extension conveyor boxes that are on top of the semi out back.
Yeah, the tractor trailer.
So I went around and grabbed it, but Gavin had a part on the ground, but I thought the part was gone because he had flipped it over, but into a spot where I couldn't see it. And I ran the forklift over it by accident. So I went over to him like, hey, dude, completely messed up on my part. I'm just letting you know up front, where's the spray paint that you were using so that I can fix it really quick so that the part's good. And immediately you could tell he was like, oh, crap. But then at the same time, he was like, I appreciate you telling me. Mm-hmm. Here's where it is. Just let me know when it's good and dry. That way I can use it. I'm like, perfect. So I just did that. That I felt was a win because I didn't go leave it there and just let it simmer or, not go around and figure out how do I get this fixed because I messed it up. Mm-hmm. And it made me feel good because I didn't let Gavin come to the part and go, who ran over this part and not take the blame for it.
Right. You're taking responsibility, right? And you're looking out for your persons, right? I don't like using the word worker, co-worker. I don't like that.
Teammate.
It's teammate. You're looking out for your teammate. And you don't want to ever, don't lie, right? Like, because somebody's going to go, who the hell did this? And then if you don't step up and go, oh, that was me, first off, you're a liar if you don't. And if you do, that's just lazy. So don't be lazy. Don't be a liar. Just do the right thing.
Exactly.
And you did. So perfect. Well done.
The other one I knew I was going to get yelled at because I was literally on the way out and I'm like, oh, shit, I got to roll up the hose before Sam yells at me.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. That's right. And you got to leave it hanging out the door.
Yeah, I do.
Because it's got to drain, and we don't want the water all over the shop.
Well, it was funny because, as soon as I gotten up here, I was putting my jacket on. I'm like, ooh, I should probably go do that really quick before I leave.
Yeah.
Because I knew Sam would be like, Kyle, because I was the only one that used it.
Yeah. Well, to kind of wrap this podcast up, guys, because I got to get going, the last thing I want to add to all this, and I love giving examples because it's just real. It's not an opinion. It's what I do, and I know, and I've studied this from ultra successful people. I mean, I'm talking about people that own some of the biggest businesses in the world that are friends of mine. One of them is a bulletproofing company. He literally owns the biggest bulletproofing company in the world. But I've gone to dinners with him and lunches with him, and everywhere we go, this guy, his name's Ken. You'll never find him. But he's got mega yachts and just stupid fuck you money, right? But everywhere I ever went with this individual when I was younger, we don't talk that much anymore because I used to do his landscaping and now life, kids, whatever.
Yeah.
Great guy, no problems with him. He's awesome. But everywhere we went, he was known and liked. And where we went to restaurants, hey Ken, how's it going, man? Hey, what's up? Or we'd be driving down the road and go to Wawa or something, and he'd get fuel, and somebody would know, hey, Ken, what's going on? So early on in my life, I had seen that, and I'm like, why is that always happening to these people, right? And I know one of the biggest mortgage broker company people, or at least at one point he was huge, billions and billions of dollars company.
You have to create your own attraction, too.
You do, and I now have that. So when I go to restaurants or I go to Johnson's Lumber, when I was a landscaper and I went somewhere, like when we just had the Mance show in Baltimore, right? Like, this is my hometown.
Yeah.
A lot of people that come there, they're like, "Hey, Nick, oh my God, it's been so many years. How are you? You know, what's going on?" Blah, blah, blah. These are like some of my vendors, and they've been like watching us grow this thing, and they're like, "We're so proud of you. It's so amazing. What you're doing is just insane." Blah, blah, blah. And I don't really worry about the accolades. I mean, it's great, but I love the connectivity between me and those other people. And you'll know when you start to become really successful, that will start to happen.
Yeah.
And it just happens organically. That's not fame. That is, you went somewhere, you took your time, and you left an impression with someone that it resonated with them.
Yep.
And when you're away from them, they see your hustle and they see how you handle yourself when you don't know they actually could see you, or a story gets back to them about you that you had some interaction with somebody else, and that other somebody else then told them, and that just builds and builds and builds and builds your persona, that builds your character, your culture, the person that you truly are, and it's fantastic. And I promise you guys, if you take the time and you build this out, and it will take a decade, or more. I'm fortunate to have. I've kind of lived two lives. And they kind of share some stuff, so it's really nice. But, you know, I get text. I just got a text message a minute ago from somebody that I'm really sorry I don't remember this person, or off the top of my head I kind of dig through. It just says, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It just, "Hi, Mr. Carlson. This is so-and-so. Just wonder if you had 5 minutes. I want to ask you a couple questions. Really appreciate everything you do. Thank you." Right? Like, I don't know. God, I'm trying to figure out who this person is. There's no text messages to give it context. But the point to that is that what I'm gonna say me, what I have built with my team, and then the relationships that I have helped cultivate and others have helped cultivate. Like, Kyle, you go talk to people all the time about us, right? And I'm not even
Shit,
around.
Chloe does.
Right, Chloe does. And that's why, like, in the early days, everybody asked me, they're like, "Why do you constantly sell yourself and your company to people that aren't going to buy your equipment?" I said, because it's not about the money.
10 people know 10 people, and so on and so on.
Right.
And
you build a free sales force, and you build a fan base, really, is what you're doing. And so hopefully one day we will become the industry's biggest, greatest company, and this little team is what started it. And I'll have the fortunate ability to be kind of the front man of it all, which I'm not doing this to be the front man of it, but I'm proud to hold that.
yeah.
I think I'm the right guy for that title for now. Somebody might take it from me one day. That's fine. But that goes back to the culture. It does. And it's not. It's a culture without pride. It's culture without ego. It's culture without swinging your dick around. It's not like, I don't go around swinging my dick saying, you know, "Look at my Shelby and look at my Audi and look at my brand new F450." And it's my people and the things that we've done together. And we've built an 8-figure business with 8 people. And we, like, literally, somebody texted me the other day. They're like, "What's it feel like to affect so many lives so positively?" Like, that's got to feel incredible. And I said, what's crazy is that I'm not there yet.
Well, that, and you also have a pay it forward mindset. You don't expect anything in return. You just expect people to help others.
I do.
And that's one of the big things, because, like, I've always tried to make it so that I can give back to you, which I still find a way.
Yeah.
You hate it, but
I do hate it because I don't need it.
But sometimes, so I kind of believe the same thing you do, is like karma is a real thing. Is like, if you can give to others, then others will give upon you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the matter of that's what I expect. That's just what I believe. So I always try to put my best step forward, as well as you, and you do that within your company, within your people, within the people that you support. I couldn't think of what I was trying to say there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm trying to look for this kind of message for somebody the other day, and they're like, "What does it feel like?" And I'm like, I honestly don't know, because I'm out of town right now helping, patch up problems that I didn't design or start, and I'm the guy with the answers. So anyway.
All right, let's wrap her up there.
All right, guys, have an awesome day. If you want more information on the products we sell, go to MulchMateUSA.com. If you would like coaching, a helping hand, go to MulchMateUSA.com. There's Carlson Coaching right there.
Link in the description below if you don't feel like going all through that.
Yeah. See, more efficient. That's why Kyle's here. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, just Google MulchMate, and you'll find us all over the different social media platforms. And make sure you Don't forget to subscribe to the MulchMate YouTube channel. Go check out some of the videos that we put out. It is absolutely at front of mind to try to do more of that. We just had a 6 MulchMate order come through with 6 DMTs. That's going to Wisconsin. So I'm planning on going up to Belmont and filming all those different trailers and showing you all that.
It's build mode, baby.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. So with that said, guys, have an awesome day, and we will catch you in the next episode of Life in the Fast Lane.
Don't miss me too much.
MulchMate.